Okay, let's get started. So we're here today to talk about MyAxelos, our exclusive membership platform, and continuing professional development. It's wonderful to see so many of you joining us from across the globe to talk about a topic that's been really important to us over the last 12 months. So I'm Vicky Hunter. I'm the Portfolio Director for our Business and IT certifications, and I've been working incredibly closely with Fanos, who is our Director for Membership. And we're very lucky to have Fanos here today to give us a demo to show all the things that have been going on behind the scenes, how MyAxelos works in terms of CPD. So we're going to start with me, and I'm going to give a short presentation just walking you through some of the benefits of CPD, how our CPD program works. We will then hand over to Fanos, who will give a demonstration of the MyAxelos platform. So those of you who are members or considering becoming members can see how it all works, can see what's going on behind the scenes there. Now, we are opening up our Q&A box and we will try to allow plenty of time for questions at the end. We ran a webinar a few weeks ago with Sophia and we were inundated with hundreds and hundreds of questions about CPD, about how to get involved, about how the point system works and all of those sorts of things. And this webinar really is in response to that, to try and address some of those questions, but we'll sure as the webinar goes on, you'll have even more to ask us. So do use the Q&A box. It is open for the duration of the webinar. We will try to get through as many of your questions as possible. You might also find that through my slide presentation and through Fanos's demo, we cover a lot of it anyway, but keep them coming. We were really overwhelmed and really pleased to see the level of engagement, the number of questions coming through at our last webinar. So we're hoping that this will answer a lot of them. Okay. The other thing is right at the end of the webinar, we will have a survey. Please do take just a couple of minutes just to fill it in. Tell us what you think of these webinars. Give suggestions for future webinars. What we're trying to do as much as possible with the MyAxelos webinar program is really respond to the needs of our customers and specifically our members. So the program can and will be shaped by you. So those few minutes at the end may mean that you get to see a webinar of your choice in the future. Thank you. So I wanted to start just by talking about some of the benefits from continuing to learn and certify your new skills. So for us, we've thought a lot about what we want to do around CPD, professional development, around certification renewal, and I'm sure lots of you have seen some of the changes PeopleCert have made at the beginning of this year. So for us, it's really important that we help people to stay current with relevant skills, knowledge, ideas, and learning. We also know, and we've had feedback from employers, from hiring managers to say that actually people who keep up to date, who demonstrate ongoing continuous professional development are the types of people they're looking for. So we really believe that you can advance your career opportunities in a competitive job market. On a similar point, there's a whole thing about upskilling, and one of the fantastic things about the MyAxelos platform and the content that we're trying to provide is that as well as providing things in areas that you might be familiar with, so as a project manager, you might come in looking for Prince 2, but you might find some really interesting content on risk management or even IT service management, and really kind of upskill, expand, and yeah, widen your skill set, which in the current context is really important. We also feel that by engaging with new skills, by continuing to certify, keeping up to date, it will really help to elevate that personal brand. We all know people who share their certifications, they share their digital badges on LinkedIn. I absolutely love seeing them, I have to say, and it gets me really excited. And I know from an employer point of view, when I'm looking at hiring, when I take a look at people's profile on LinkedIn, actually somebody who's engaging with their professional development, who's driving that forward, that's someone I really look for as a hiring manager. And of course, really importantly, within your current role, continuing to learn, ongoing certification, ongoing professional development really does make a difference to your productivity and efficiency. And indeed, we've looked at some research behind that as well. So that's really important. So what are we actually saying here? What are we expecting and thinking about? So one of the things that's really important and we'd encourage anybody to do is to really assess your capability and to plan your learning. So really think about actually what it is I want to learn, what it is I want to do, how I need to progress. And then you acquire those skills and knowledge. Simple, right? And then the idea is that you go on, you take those skills and knowledge and you apply and evaluate. And the way we've set up the CPD program on MyAxelos is designed to support this loop. So take a look, assess your capability, plan your learning, go out, acquire those new skills and knowledge. And we'll come to the detail of that a bit later because we have tried to build a CPD program that's open and that's cost effective. Not all of the ways to gain CPD points carry any cost at all. And then we'd obviously encourage you to go apply those new skills, apply that new learning, think about what you've learned and actually and how you want to build on that. So we'll talk a little bit more about that generally in terms of CPD, but for us and the changes we've made recently, one of the key focuses is on keeping your certifications current. So, as you might be aware, candidates with a PeopleCert Global Best Practice certification can choose to renew within 3 years of their original certification dates. This is something that PeopleCert made the decision to bring in earlier this year. And actually, I've been really excited to see the people engaging with renewal, asking lots of questions about it, and exploring the different routes that are available. There are two main routes. One of them is the exam route. So you attend a course within the same product suite. I'll come on to that in a minute. Take the exam and all of your certifications within that suite will renew. Okay. Now that can be, you can take the same exam again. So if you're an ITIL foundation holder, you could, for example, choose to take your ITIL foundation again, and that would extend your renew by date for 3 years. The other option on the exam route, which I think is the exciting one, is to pick another certification within that same product family, and I'll talk about those in a minute. And then it brings everything with it. So your ITIL foundation gets renewed and you've got a new certificate, you've gained some new skills as well. And then, oh, sorry, excuse me, the other route that we really want to focus on today is the CPD route. So those of you who are members on MyAxelos will know that we have a CPD route available where you can collect and log CPD points with MyAxelos. What's fantastic about that is your membership gives you access to lots of other content as well as giving you that route to keep your certifications current. We'll go into more detail about CPD logging and those sorts of things in a few slides' time. I've mentioned this already, but for us, we really wanted to make renewal about adding value to our professionals. So for us, bringing in product suites was a great way of doing that. So product suites facilitate easy renewal and they support your ongoing professional development. All of the certifications within a product suite share the same renew by date. So if you have 4, 5, 6 ITIL 4 certifications, for example, they all share the same renew by date. They all get pulled forward when you take a new certification. Same for our project program and portfolio management suite. And then you also have those smaller certifications just down their own with Agile, Shift and Resilia. Just a quick note on the ITIL 4 certifications. There really are now too many to list. We've recently been working on batches of practice certifications. And what's important to note here in relation to certification renewal is that even those single day practice certifications, so if you were to take one of the ITIL 4 service desk practice certification, for example, that would renew all of your ITIL 4 certifications. So the renewal route within product suites really opens things up to you. The other thing that really opens things up is the approach we've taken to membership. Okay, so this came up a lot in our last webinar, so I'm just going to really focus on some of the points here. So the first is to say that one membership to keep all of your certifications current. So I think lots of people were worried that there would be one one annual subscription for ITIL, annual subscription for project program portfolio management. We made the decision to put all of this under one family, one membership, because we know that not everybody stays within that same sort of product suite or product family, and we thought it was important to be as inclusive as possible. So if you're not a member already and you are interested in how to keep your certifications current through membership, there are 4 really straightforward steps. The first is to get a subscription. You can't log CPD points, you can't keep your certifications current via the CPD route without a subscription to MyAxelos, which is PeopleCert's exclusive membership program. You also need to maintain an active subscription for 3 years and log 20 CPD points per year. Now, we had quite a lot of questions on both of these points at the last 2 webinars, and I think it's important to explain some of the thinking behind it. When we talk about continuous professional development, one of the things that was really important from my perspective and those of other experts that we spoke to was that we wanted it to be a genuine ongoing thing. So we didn't want it to be at the end of 3 years, you come in and you say, this is what I've done for the last 3 years, and you log all of your 60 points at once. We would like people to be what I would describe as active members. So coming onto the platform, engaging with all of the new exciting content that's coming on. We keep all of our 34 ITIL practice guides there, which are just, if you're in IT service management or service management, they're really, really fantastic, really relevant resources. So for me, it's really important that through our membership and our continued professional development program, we really encourage people to use their membership, to be active, to come along to the webinars that we put on. There was a great one, and we had some amazing feedback on data science a month or so ago. Really positive feedback about an area that lots of people weren't familiar with, but actually by being a MyAxelos member, it really gave the opportunity to them to come in and hear about something new, and that's what we want to provide to our members. So that's why this idea of maintaining an active subscription and coming in each year and logging those 20 CPD points is at the backbone of the program we've provided. And then the good news, at the end of the 3 years, provided you've maintained your active subscription and you've logged your 20 CPD points, all of your certifications are automatically extended for another 3 years. So for us, it's a simple, straightforward way. One of the things I mentioned earlier, and I think this is a really important point, is that CPD doesn't have to be expensive or costly or any of those sorts of things. And I'm just going to pull out a couple of examples on here once I've talked about the sort of the general rules, because I think it's important that for all of us who, those who work in the public sector, those who are dealing with cost challenges, it's really important that actually we think about our professional development and ways that we can access these things without there being significant costs attached to the activities themselves. So as I mentioned before, you need to complete 20 points worth of activities per year. 5 points must come from the professional experience category. And these are things like applying best practice in the workplace. They can be coaching colleagues, mentoring, work shadowing. All of those individual pieces come one activity or one work package or one project counts as 1 point. There's no sort of specific time limit on that. But as you can see, they're all, I'm sure, activities that lots of you are doing in the workplace already. And there's no sort of specific limit on the types of workplace activities you can claim and log your points for, provided that they're relevant to the certifications that you hold. Okay. The remaining 15 points can be earned from activities across the professional experience, professional education and community categories. So however you want to gain those remaining 15 is entirely up to you and what's important. And I think we talked in an earlier slide about planning your learning, and think about what you need to progress in your career to enhance your performance in your current role, and then we can look at them against these categories. So you can see there are some professional certifications, and obviously we put PeopleCert certifications from other accredited training organisations, but we've also got in-house training, we've got e-learning, and actually really nice as a MyAxelos member, reading articles, engaging with webinars. They can all be used and count towards your CPD points. And you can think about what you want to log from the activities that you probably carry out without even really thinking about it. So that article that you read on LinkedIn, or that ebook that you downloaded on AI and project management, or whatever it was, they can all count in the professional education space. So it doesn't have to be formal certified education. Community is one that I'm really keen on, and one that I was a real advocate for us having in, because for us, we know there are lots of our professionals out there who are actively involved in organising events, presenting, writing thought leadership pieces, all of those sorts of things that actually that give back, that take what we do as professionals and share it, disseminate it, all of those sorts of things. So what I hope you can see there is that actually we've tried to keep the CPD categories as open as possible, and we welcome other suggestions for suggested activities. For us, it's really important that it's open and flexible and meets the needs of our professionals and members. So one thing we have been working on is actually, how we can make sure that we keep this as open as possible, and we encourage people to become members and to gain all the benefits that come with PeopleCert membership. So we do have a special offer running at the moment. You can get an annual subscription with MyAxelos up until the end of August, so 31st of August 2023, and then we will extend all of your certifications up until 2026. And as we talked about before, that's not limited to one product suite. So if you have ITIL 4 Foundation and Prince 2 Foundation, both of those would be extended under this offer, just with one subscription. So if you do want to take that up, or you want to find more information about the MyAxelos CPD program, there's lots of information available on the PeopleCert website. But what I'd suggest is you log into your PeopleCert account, you have a look at your certifications, and you follow the link through to MyAxelos, and you just find out a little bit more. I have to say, I was very closely involved in introducing renewal in PeopleCert, and I'm really pleased with what we've achieved and how we've shaped it as an open, inclusive program. And for me, any suggestions you have in terms of additional activities we can include, or any of those sorts of things, then please do drop them into the Q&A. So as well as questions, we'd welcome suggestions on this webinar as well. So all that remains for me to do is say thank you very much for listening to the first portion of this webinar. We just wanted to cover some of the questions that came up in the last session, and tell you a little bit more about the rationale and the thinking behind some of the design decisions we've made for our CPD programme. I am going to stop sharing now. And hopefully my colleague Thanos is there and ready.
I'm here. Don't worry.
Good, you're here. He's going to give us a little bit of insight into the platform itself, so you can see what it's really like for those of you who aren't members.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Vicky. This was an excellent presentation. I think it covered the mechanics and the reasoning behind why we're doing what we're doing. So very good background set. Thank you so much. I'm going to share my screen now. I'm going to jump directly into MyAxelos PeopleCert's membership program. And we're going to walk you through it and see how I can help you understand it more. So I'm going to share my screen. Okay, I think I'm sharing now. Vicky, can you validate that I'm sharing?
Sorry, I was on mute. Yes, I can see your screen.
Excellent. So everybody, as you can see right now, we're in MyAxelos. We're in our membership program. a membership program that covers all the MyAxelos products that now sit with PeopleCert. MyAxelos is really about many things. Mostly, it is about engaging. It is about working with the content that is in there, sharing success, participating in events and webinars, and of course, working with the CPD program that Vicky mentioned. I'm going to go directly to CPDs and focus on that. First of all, in our homepage, you can see that we're giving you the option to understand your CPD progress and seeing for which families and suites you're eligible to add CPDs and continue your certificate, your renew by journey through CPDs, and for which you're not eligible. Similarly, and now I'm going to go into navigating into the CPD page. And now you can clearly see and understand the families that Vicky was talking about and how the certificates are segmented for recertification. You can see the ITIL 4 family, the PPM family, as we call it, Agile, Shift, and Resilient. On the right-hand side, you can see the families, the suites for which you are eligible to certify through CPD. You can see here, for example, that for the ITIL 4 family, I'm not eligible. Why is that? Two reasons. First of all, and the truth is that I do not own any ITIL 4 certifications in this account, in my demo account. So I'm not eligible, I'm not relevant. The other reason might be that I might own an ITIL 4 certification, but the CPD period that I should have fulfilled has expired. For example, I might have taken my ITIL 4 certificate in 2020. So based on the rules that Vicky was explaining, the 2 first years of adding CPDs have gone by. I haven't added CPDs, so I'm not eligible. The CPD route is not open to me anymore. What can I do for this route? There are, again, 2 things based on where we stand today. First of all, I can sit another ITIL 4 related exam from that suite, as Vicky was explaining. The second thing that I can do is take up the offer that we have in place. So up to August 31st, in order to help especially past certificate holders jump on the recertification boat, up to August 31st, if you get an annual subscription with MyAxelos, your certificates will automatically renew until 2026 at the same day that you got your annual subscription. Now, however, on my PPM suite, I am eligible. I'm in good standing in terms of CPDs. Let me go and see what I have here. So I have 2 certificates, 1 foundation, and I also have my practitioner. I acquired my last certification on the 27/3, 2022. And I have managed to successfully complete my first year of CPD collection. And you can see I have 20 out of 20 CPDs collected for the first year. So I'm in good standing, and my second year now is open. I haven't done anything yet. I haven't added any CPDs, but let me add a couple to show you how this would play out. So first of all, I will go into this nice and easy form. Okay, apologies. Let me do that again. Okay, excellent. So I will select my Prince2 foundation, it doesn't really matter which certificate I select, okay? Because the CPD I will put in this form will count for the suite, for the whole family, the certification family. So I've selected my certification. I'm selecting my type of CPD. Let me say I'm going to get professional education. And let's say that this webinar that I'm attending today as a MyAxelos member counts for CPDs. So I will write attending the CPD, how to renew your certifications through CPD. Okay, webinar. And I'm going to make it attended just to be better. Okay, points I'm claiming, I'm going to put 1 because, as Vicky mentioned, 1 hour of attendance gives me 1 CPD. And my completion date is actually 13th, 7th, 2023. Okay. And what did I learn? I learned about, okay, it's not helping me. There you go, automatic. I learned about the value of CPD and how to add them. I'm just making this up, okay? If I wanted, I could also add proof by attaching a document. So if this was a training that I attended and I had a certificate of attendance, I could add that as well. I will not do that though. Click submit. Thank you very much. Prince2 Foundation, Thanos Martinis, my 1 CPD logged. And remember, I still have 19 for the year. Okay, here it shows also that my progress. I'm going to add 1 more CPD. I'm going to add 1 more CPD about professional experience. And remember what Vicky mentioned, professional experience, I need to have 5 points as mandatory. So I'm going to list 1 related task, and that would be, I'm going to make it real, a real task, which is working with marketing team to organize a series of webinars for a membership program. Okay, and that's 1 task. It doesn't have a time element, but it's 1 task. I'm claiming 1 point. If and my completion date, apologies, I need to put that here. Whoops. Okay, I did that then. And then I can add if I learned anything and how this has helped me as well, plus attach a document if I wanted to attach a document. We understand that for professional experience, it's a bit difficult to attach something because this is confidential information, so it's not a requirement. To complete the 5 points that are mandatory, I need to list in 5 relevant and sizable tasks. Okay, let me submit my point. Okay, apologies.
You have to tell us what you learned. It's a part
I
of the cycle.
I know. I'm sorry. Collaboration and product and marketing is a very interesting area for collaboration. Okay. Excellent. Got points. There you go. So I have my point, and you can see now that the system is telling me that I still need 4 mandatory points for professional experience so that I don't forget. Okay, so this is the quite easy interface for adding CPDs. Remember, and this is something that we didn't have in the past, and I think some of our members really value that I can go back and edit a CPD. Within the same period, I can see the history and edit my CPDs. Okay. And however, I cannot do the same for a period that has ended. So for the previous period, I cannot do that. I can, of course, review my CPDs. Now, as Vicky mentioned, and very importantly, this platform is built to help people with their continuing education, to help people be part of the community. So we have this vast library of resources, and thousands of resources in MyAxelos, in PeopleCert membership. And you can see that, and by the way, these consist of articles, blog posts, our events, such as webinars, learner resources to get you up to speed if you want to upskill in an area, practitioner resources if you want to, if you're interested to deep dive in an area that you certified, research as well. And there's thousands of resources in here. And the good thing with this is that, let me jump to the practitioner resources, that these resources are timed. So they're not timed only in terms of a customer experience that helps you understand, how much time you will invest in consuming some content, but it's also there to help you and say, hey, you know what, I've read so many articles, X, Y, Z, listing them and say, hey, you know what, I spent 1 hour worth of CPD content consumption. And there's a lot of interesting stuff, very interesting stuff. So you can go into the practitioner resources and you can see that we have the IT4 practice guides. As Vicky mentioned, these are the backbone of IT and the backbone of practicing IT, not getting trained necessarily, but practicing. And you can see these 35 practice guides, which are being updated as we speak. And Vicky, correct me if I'm wrong, I think how many have already been updated in our current?
On MyAxelos 5, there is another 5 coming within weeks, and then in the autumn there'll be another 5. So by beginning of Q4, you will have 15 updated practices, and the updates are fantastic because they just make sure that they're absolutely modern and relevant, but they've introduced some tips and tricks and some things around capability criteria as well, which in my team are working on them, so I'm a little bit passionate, but yeah, I'm really pleased.
So you can see that the IT4 practice guide, so that if people do not know them, they are like mini ebooks. There are many ebooks that give you all the tips and tricks and all the tools to work with IT in the 35 practice areas. Okay, so again, going back to the CPDs, you can see that even consuming this content can actually help you acquire CPD points. Let me see if I can go back and also say here, apart from the practice guides, templates and toolkits, we have our Prince2 templates, right? Like dozens of templates. And one thing that which you can also download, by the way, or in Word format or PDF formats to use in your everyday life. Now, what else? There's tons of content in here that you can use. Another very interesting resource type is theory and practice, where actually it takes the theory of the certification and turns it into practice that can help you perform better with your team, at your work, for your role. We also have job profiles, which actually explain exactly, right, how you can work in your role very, very specifically as a team manager, as a project estimator, so on and so forth. It doesn't matter, right? Benefits analyst. So you can deep dive and get information on how to do your best at your profession. Just showcasing a few things and how you can use them in MyAxelos. Events, you can understand that are webinars, so on and so forth. The last thing from MyAxelos, not related that much to CPDs, But something that you need to know are your digital badges. When you become certified, you have your digital badges, and very quickly you can go into the digital badging platform, and you can see, and this is a public page for people that when you share your digital badge, people see this. They can see what we have accomplished with your certification, the skills that you have, so on and so forth. So it's an excellent tool as well. And I think that's me. And I also think that we need to leave some time for questions.
We have
overall.
a lot of questions, which
I'm
is
pretty
really
sure.
fantastic, really exciting to see. So I think just in relation to what Vanos has just shared, I'll just clarify a couple of points that are coming through in the questions as well. They may have been answered, but we've got a few on them. So there is a difference between the points for the professional experience categories and the professional education and community categories. So for professional education and for community, 1 hour of activity equals 1 CPD point. So if you go on if you do some in-house training, attend some in-house training for 5 hours, that's 5 points. If you spend an hour listening to a podcast that's relevant to your certifications, then that's 1 point. Okay, so very simply, 1 hour is 1 point. With professional experience, it works slightly differently. So we have 1 activity equals 1 point. So, and we're talking about, some significant activity, a work package, a project, taking on coaching or mentoring, and they work slightly differently than the professional education and the community categories. I think that was quite clear from the demonstration Vanos shared, but we know that because they work slightly differently, it can be complex to understand sometimes. The other question that's come up a few times, and Vanos showed us how you add evidence. For professional experience, we appreciate that in some cases, adding evidence isn't appropriate. So we are taking an open and trusting approach to these categories, because it's important for us that what you log there is meaningful, and we will be auditing. So around 10% of the sample will be audited annually, but we will guide the teams that for professional experience, there might be limited evidence that our professionals can provide for sensitivity reasons, and that's absolutely fine. For other areas, type of evidence, a certification of course attendance, a link to the article you've been reading, any of those sorts of things, we are open on the evidence, and I think it's important that with the programme we do act with trust and good faith. Would you add anything to that, Vanos?
I think I'm muted. So no, it makes total sense. I think it's all about on this specific area. It's all about flexibility. It's all about easiness and not making it difficult for people. And that has been our focus because we know that sometimes it's quite tedious to maintain this kind of catalog of activities that you're doing. So it's all about making it simple. But as you said, Vicky, I do agree, and this is what we're doing. Yeah, it needs to be relevant, and it needs to be of a specific size. It needs to be sizable, and that auditing will be taking place.
Okay. A number of questions going into quite a lot of detail about people's individual circumstances. We really appreciate those. I think some of them are some complex scenarios that we will take offline. So thank you to those who've gone into a huge amount of detail. We'll pick those up and take those separately. Vanos, can I log CPD points with a monthly membership?
Sure. Let me, Joe, before you get there,
Yep.
let me point something that, because on the last point that you mentioned, I'm pretty sure that people have a lot of questions, and they might not understand certain things. I want to make sure that people understand that our customer support team is here to help 24/7 with any kind of question that you might have. So don't feel that this webinar is your only channel for communicating and getting your questions answered. Our customer support team is there. If you log into MyAxelos and you do not understand something or you do not see something the way that you expected it, please contact customer support and you'll get a response. All right. Vicky, apologies.
No problem.
So you mentioned if people can log in CPDs with a monthly subscription. Yes, they can. The only thing that is needed for maintaining the CPD capability and eligibility is continuing your subscription. We don't mind if it's a monthly membership, as long as you continue your subscription on the monthly basis for the 3 years. It's going to be totally fine. And we do understand that a lot of people need that flexibility, flexibility of being able to pay in sort of installments. So yes, totally this can happen. You need to understand though that with an annual membership, there's of course, as in all such subscription programs, you do get a discount. You get, in reality, you get 12 months for the price of 10 overall.
Absolutely clear. Thank you very much. We've got quite a lot of questions around sort of product suites and whether you have to take multiple exams again. So let's repeat some of the points on product suites, because I know it's new and it's not always simple. Let's go with an example. So I hold ITIL 4 Foundation, ITIL 4 Create, Deliver and Support, and ITIL 4 Digital and IT Strategy. Okay. So I hold these 3 ITIL 4 certifications. They're all coming up for their renew by date. If I was to choose to take another ITIL 4 certification, let's go with acquiring and managing cloud services. All of my certifications would be extended on the date that I got my ITIL 4 Managing and Acquiring Cloud Services exam result. So your certifications within the same product family or product suite always share the same renew by date. So they're always pulled forward by the latest exam you sit. So for example, I've got a question: if I take Prince 2 Agile Foundation, will it extend my Prince 2 Foundation? Yes, absolutely. They sit within the same product suite, and that's part of our journey, as well as the membership program, of encouraging continuous professional development. So not just encouraging you to take the same exam again, but actually in encouraging you to expand your professional competencies. And that's why we were so excited. I had my subject matter experts who sit in my team, as well as external subject matter experts working on the ITIL practice updates. So some great minds around the table, and we were really excited to give people the opportunity to extend their ITIL 4 product suite renew by date simply by taking a 1-day practice certification. So that's a bit about product suites. There's a lot of questions, and I think we've covered them quite well, about the type of evidence. The evidence has to be relevant to the activity you're undertaking. We're not going to give strict, firm guidance on it, because we understand that it will be vary from professional to professional. Thanos, is there anything else you want to say on evidence? Because I think it's one of those things that until people start to log their points and say, actually, I'm just going to share it, here's my evidence, it's a link to this article, it took about an hour to read, any of those sorts of things. I think it seems to be something that's concerning people.
I think what I would do is I would urge people to try it out and go through the process. Once you go through the process, and it's always a bit difficult to understand, if you do not go through the process. So go through the process, log 1 CPD, see how it works for you, and then you'll understand if you need to add evidence, what evidence you need to have, so on and so forth. Just try it out.
Try it out, see, and if you are picked as a sample during the audit, you might get asked some additional evidence. We are very reasonable. If there is a reason you can't provide it, it's company confidential, you've moved employer, or whatever that might be, then obviously no worries there. I think that's an important point. We do understand confidentiality. The other thing that's come up is about people whose certifications have passed their renew by date. So obviously we had a number that had a renew by date at the beginning of this month, the beginning of July. What happens to those certifications if people take out an annual subscription with MyAxelos now?
So remember that we saw that eligibility or not eligibility screen.
Yeah.
That's exactly what will happen. So that will still go from non-eligible to eligible. In reality, that and I want to make this clear to people, is that when you acquire your annual subscription with MyAxelos, you will log in. You will see all the goodness of the MyAxelos membership, and then it will take for the system to update around 2 or 3 days. And after these 2 or 3 days, you're going to see that for all your certifications, all the certifications that you hold, you're going to have a new renew by date that will end in 2026. So that right-hand column that we were seeing with eligible, not eligible, will be populated with your new renew by dates, which are going to be 2026 dates. I want to also answer one more question that I saw that has to do with the timeline for the period, the annual period. So the annual period it's not a calendar period. It doesn't start from January and end in December for everybody. The period starts, the eligibility period and the renew by date period starts from the day that you have sat your exam or purchased your subscription. So if you did that in March, it is March. If you do that in July, it is July. July to July.
So Panos, to be clear, if I go tomorrow, what's the date tomorrow? On the 14th of July, and I purchase my annual subscription, my renew by date will be the 14th of July, 2023. Have we got it?
Your renew 2026, Vicky.
2026, sorry, I was close. Nearly.
Yes.
Okay, that's really helpful. We've got quite a lot of questions around date, and that would mean that your year 1 of CPD, if you were me and purchasing tomorrow, would be the 14th of July 2023 to the 14th of July 2024. That would be your year 1, the period within which you need to log those first 20 CPD. And the great news is, if you do that for those 3 years, 1, 2, 3, taking you up to 2026, provided that you've had that active membership and you've logged your 20 CPDs every year, your renew by date is extended again right up until 2029. So you can see that the idea of the program is to keep people engaging with continuous professional development, and then at the end of that 3-year period each time you get that new extension. So if you were to join in the next few weeks, you get that extension to 2026. From my perspective, what we've set out as professional development, I think is achievable for most professionals. You do that, you log your points, and you get your extension again to 2029. So it just keeps going. And I think that's a really important premise for what we're all trying to achieve here. A few questions coming up around, can I log my points at the end of the 3 years? What happens if I miss a year? Can people log their points at the end of 3 years, or do they have to do it annually? Just to clarify completely.
By the way, Vicky, I wanted to ask you that question as well. Because there are 2 elements. There's a technical element to it, but also is like it's also the way of thinking. So from the technical element is like people need to add 20 CPDs within the year. They don't need to add them every month, like 2 points every month, but within the year they need to add 20 CPD points for 3 years. Okay. So that's from the technical element. But I also wanted to ask you, why couldn't people just go and add 60 points at the end of the 3 years, Vicky? And I think there's a reasoning behind that, that your team has really thought about it, and it's all about showcasing that progress, that continuous development aspect of things. It's not like a shot. It's not something that happens, once off. Correct, Vicky?
Yeah, absolutely. We didn't want to be this renewal to just be a product that people buy. So we didn't want renewal to be, oh, my renew by date's coming up. It's here. I'm going to pay my money and I'm going to put my points in and sort of actually it is really important that we all think about our professional development and that we engage with it regularly. So it is designed to gently encourage, are the words I'd probably use, people to think about their practice regularly. We didn't want to say you must do it every month, you must do it every 6 months. We felt that annually was a fair target for people to think about and engage with. And we know now, from speaking to some large organisations, there are lots of organisations who have things in place to support their employees to do that sort of logging and recording. And that, talking about logging, we've got quite a few questions still around whether any of this is automated. So my understanding, Thanos, and correct me if I'm wrong, that at the moment, the way it works is that you log your points. So even though this is a MyAxelos webinar that you've attended, if you want to log your if you want to claim your 1 point from this, you need to log it physically yourself. Is that correct?
It is correct, Vicky. And this is, of course, automating logging is something that we have in our roadmap. And we want to make sure that we do it, but we do it in the right way, because it can be sometimes quite confusing for users. But yes, correct, right now it is manual. But as you saw, it's just 3 clicks away. And we wanted to keep it 3 clicks away and keep it simple overall.
Thank you. That was what I'd understood, but it's always great. We have a lot of these conversations internally. It's brilliant for us always to check and test our understanding, and your questions really do help us do that. So I've got a number of questions around what counts as professional education. So people asking, does it have to be a global best practice course? Does it have to be a PeopleCert course? And I have a very simple answer to that. I will give my simple answer and I'll see if Thanos has anything to add. My answer is, does it have to be a PeopleCert course? Does it have to be global best practice? No, but it has to be relevant. And that's the important part. Thanos, anything to add?
You're always beating me to the chase, because I wanted to direct that question to you. I've
Right,
reviewed the question. I'm like,
I'm
no,
gonna let you have the next one then.
no, that's fine. So totally, there's no restrictions. It's all about making sure that we consider we consider the community a broad term. We consider education a broad term. It's all about motivating people to be engaged and be engaged with the overall community. It's not a selfish thing. So again, pretty open, as Vicky said, and it is important to just be engaged. That's the most important thing. Yeah. So you got my question, Vicky.
I'm going to be quiet now and see whether there's another one you want to address to me. We have a few minutes left, and then I just want to kind of confirm where the slides and about where the recording will be available as well. So there are some really great questions in here, I have to say, and great engagement. You can see we're just reading through. I think we have covered a lot of them.
Yeah.
So we've covered around whether it will be automatically added. We've covered a lot about evidence and auditing. A few questions on relevance, and I think that's a really interesting one. So we've used the term relevance because we want to put that with you. So if it is, in your view, is the work you're doing relevant to the certifications that you hold with us? And to be clear, it could be relevant to multiple product suites. So for example, if you were stepping in and doing a bit of project management on a service desk improvement project, for example. Could you claim that as a professional experience activity for both ITIL, for your ITIL suite and your project, program and portfolio management suite? Yes, you absolutely could. So you can claim or log your CPD points, the same activity or the same piece of education under multiple product suites. But it does have to be relevant. So if there is something where there is a pure focus on something service management related, please don't pop it under your project, program, portfolio management. But if it's genuinely relevant, related, important, then yeah, absolutely do include it there. Panos, anything else that you want to pick out and ask? Because I know I've beaten you to the chase on a couple.
No, I think we're okay, and you know I think we've answered as many questions as we could. I believe in Vicky's presentation, which will be part of this as we share the webinar. Please note that there are a couple of links for you to go in and on the PeopleCert website where you can actually learn more about recertification. I'm wondering, actually, I'm going to ask our administrators, Apostole, could we drop these links in the chat for right now for people to quickly be able to access those pages? Yes, one moment. I got the answer. So as we're closing, Apostolos will drop 2 links in the chat so that you can click them and see them. And it's all the information you need to know about the offer, about how to do CPDs, what MyAxelos is. And these links are also included in Vicky's presentation so that you can follow them and get more information. Again, I urge people to contact customer support if there's anything more needed. Just want to make sure that Vicky, the team, our customer support are here for you to support you with anything you might need.
Absolutely. And I think that's a brilliant way to close. People will, you might come across individual specific questions, problems. We are here to support you with it. I think what we wanted to help everybody understand, and I really hope that we've met our objective, is why we've introduced renewal, why we are spending our time and effort thinking about continued professional development and the way we set the program up, and also to draw attention to the special offer that's available, and to hopefully show you how simple and straightforward it is to log your continued professional development points. So I really do hope that you have found today useful. We will look through the questions and kind of work out anything specific that we need to pick up. We will obviously work on our FAQs and all of those sorts of things. But I hope that you found today useful. For us, your questions are always useful because they pick out areas where we could make some improvements or where we could expand our support and our services and all of those sorts of things. So I can see that the links are going into the chat. My final request, I know you have just given us 60 minutes of your time for us to talk with you and engage with you. I would ask, when the survey pops up at the end of the webinar, please do take a moment to share your thoughts with us. Those of you who are MyAxelos members or about to become MyAxelos members will really benefit from sharing your ideas about further webinars that we could run. We're happy to bring in external experts, as we've done a couple of times, and actually it's great to get ideas for exciting new topics. We've got a couple in the chat as well, which we'll pick up. So all that remains is for me to thank Panos very much for taking the time to walk us through the MyAxelos platform. I always love seeing it and seeing how other people engage with it, so really appreciated. And to all of you who've joined us today, There's your 1 hour, 1 hour of 1 hour, one CPD point, but also I hope you've learned something and understood a little bit more about the direction PeopleCert's taking and how our program works. So thank you all very, very much.